Ladies and gentlemen, the audio for this video is going to be, I'll give you a little background. I stopped filming after I finished reviewing the first half of my Hobonichi. That is because family was calling, and I was like, you know what? That's what happens. Family takes priority over my hobbies and over my planning video. But nonetheless, if the audio sounds strange, that is because I plugged in a mic and I am spurring through the mic to finish this video. But nonetheless, I believe I concluded the first half of my Hobonichi A5 for 2025, and now it is time for the second half, to review the second half of my Hobonichi so I can finish these notes and I can get to planning my 2026 correctly or effectively. But yeah, I'm whispering through the mic because it is like 5:30 in the morning, and I don't want to wake anybody up, and I don't want anybody to come into my office and be like, hey, I can hear you from a mile away. I heard that my voice carries, so I am trying to be as quiet as possible and just like, don't want to wake anybody up. But nonetheless, we are starting the second half of my Hobonichi A5. This also was, this is actually, I feel like this is kind of where I got very consistent, and that is because I found a system that works for me for the second half of the year, and we'll talk more about that later. But the first is, of course, the overview calendar, and I was using, if I didn't mention it in the first half, I'm mentioning in the second half. This was just a basic cross-off calendar. I circled some important dates. Crossed off the dates after that day was over, and as you can see, we are in the last month of the year in December. And then of course I have another pocket here this is where I fell off with the calendar index, and that is because I know the trackers were a second thought, and I told myself, you know what, for this second half, if I don't need it, then I'm just not gonna use it. And what I decided to do is the Hobonichi Avec, what I really, really like about it, that they give you extra spreads. So like what they'll do is they'll give you 6 months for that month, for that like section of the book, or that like second half. And then they'll give you another 6 months of of calendar indexes. And I really, 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 really love that about the Hobonichi Avec. It's kind of like that extra duplication is just so comfortable for me. It's just that little breathing room, a planner, because everything in the Hobonichi Cousin is very much dated. So like everything's got a date to it. Everything is basically assigned to that day. So having you random extra pages here and there allows you a little bit more wiggle room sometimes. And what I did was I actually continued the screen tracker here. And as you can see, I fell off. Like what happened was my iPad, I think with the updates from Apple, I don't know what happened, but it stopped tracking. Like what I could do is I could usually go back for the month, and I could update my tracker. It like used to hold like a month of history and like screen time. And I don't know, with the updates, they kind of stopped happening, and it's only like a week. So when I went to update October, there was nothing there, and I was like, why can't I find the information? It wouldn't let me like scroll back in time. It only holds like a week of screen time now, and so I was like, oh shoot, now I can't update this, because I usually update it at the end of the month. So next year, actually I have to write that down. Let me go ahead and write that down. So screen time tracker must be updated per week or daily. There we go. And it happens sometime. I definitely still need a screen tracker somewhere because it is so helpful for me. As you can see, I've really learned to curb my screen time when I can see it. And in August, you can definitely see that happening. Like I shaved down hours of my screen time because I could finally like see how much time I was actually spending on my phone and on my iPad. Jumping into the monthlies. this is an extra month provided by the Hobonichi cousin. Very nice, very nice. I love having a few extra spreads. And as you can see, the monthlies have become so much neater. Again, this kind of was not underutilized, but I did use the same, really the same purpose as the last 6 months. It's just an appointment calendar. And I didn't even bother with any fluff or anything like that. I just put the bare necessities. And I really love it this way. Even though it's quite empty, it's just, it's very clean, it's very clear, and I can like see everything at a first glance, which I think that's where a monthly shines. Of course, I still love the proportions. I love the proportions of this calendar. I did do on this side in October. I think October, it was a very refreshing month. I don't know what it was, maybe because it was like the last 3 months of the year, and so it's like the last hoorah before the year ends. So I actually put like monthly goals on the side, and some things to remember and stuff like that. I really like that. And as you can see, it's just a simple appointment calendar. I do some logging in here, which I already wrote in my brain dump notebook. But for instance, I got sick for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in November. Having that event there, I can see how it affects my dailies and stuff like that. So that's really nice. And then this is December. I have to do a plan with me video to set up for December because I still haven't done that. And time is going, but I really wanted to finish this video first before doing that. And then hopefully I'll get to that. But that is my monthlies. Very much the same thing as the last 6 months. Now, I'm not sure why. Actually, I remember why I did this. Again, this is the log pages that I did in the last 6 months. And as you can see, I continued it into the next 6 months. I still absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. Oh, I love this page. And I fell off. And I think the reason why I fell off is because it's really hard, in my opinion, for me to go back from the daily pages to the weekly pages to the monthly pages to the weekly pages, flipping through the sections of the Hobonichi. I find extremely tedious. And one of the things is that it is because when this is a log, I'm doing it at the end of the day. And then, so I'm in the dailies, and then I go to the weeklies at the end of the day, and then I go to the monthlies sometimes. And so I feel like jumping through sections when it comes to the Hobonichi, especially when you're just go, you kind of don't want to do that. And so that's why I think that I fell off. That, lazy as it might sound, and I feel like it is a very lazy thing to do, was I just got lazy, and that is why I wasn't consistent with my weeklies. Sometimes it's like that. It's okay. It's for me, as long as I'm planning every single day, I feel like that's my anchor. But I still don't want to neglect this for next year. So I gotta see how I'll plan my bullet journal to avoid that if I can. So what I started doing for the weeklies is sometimes I would jump back in, as you can see. But I kind of just used it as a note page. As you can see, it's just notes. It's what I was doing before I jumped into a brain dump notebook. I was just using this as the brain dump. And as you can see, for me, it's not very organized well. It's kind of just random notes everywhere. And that's why I really felt like I needed a brain dump notebook, because I hated the way I was doing notes in the weeklies. As you can see, the weeklies are just, are dead. So let's go ahead and jump into the dailies. And I feel like this is where I had the biggest change. This is actually the monthly overview page that Hobonichi provides at the beginning of every single month. And before, I had a goals and a reflections. What I started doing is I started tipping in pages in some of these monthlies. I stopped doing it once I got closer towards the end of the year, but this is like a habit tracker. This really worked for me. What I realized, I wouldn't call it a habit tracker actually. This is more of like tasks that I wanted to track. That's probably a more accurate description of things. And I realized the more simpler the tracker, the better. And I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Simple trackers are best. And you know how I know this is I don't know if you saw like the first half of the Hobonichi cousin, or the first 6 months. I had trackers in there, and the best trackers that worked for me are things that like I just have to put in a dot. I think graphs, I think like complicated keys, anything that is not just like a simple color in. I feel like I have to have a key. I have to have something that depicts what it is, or else I'll forget. And I feel like too many keys is too complicated. And so I think that in the future, when I do trackers, I feel like, you know, simple is best. Getting to the monthly overview page, as you can see, at the end of every month, this is when I'd update this. So I have what I do. I'll go through my process in a minute, but let me give you a quick overview of this first. At the end of every month, I will do a quick run through of my daily pages, and also like some of like the journaling notes, right reflection of what that month felt like for me. Now, I just wrote down, you know, what I was feeling, it was a good month or a bad month, based on those pages. Because what I realized is, you know, sometimes I'm negative about myself, and sometimes I'm like not as productive as I should be. And I don't want to rely on like my perception, because in my opinion, people's perceptions are biased. So the best thing to do is to have a very accurate overview of what I was doing that month and what I was feeling that month, and then writing a reflection on it. And that was very, 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 very successful for me. Another thing is that what I would also put is like a little mini calendar of the month. And I would mark the days that I not plan. So either I didn't plan effectively, or I messed up the spread. I don't know, like anything, like if I didn't touch the page, or I didn't put I didn't plan on the page and nothing was actually useful done that day, I would mark it, and I would write down how many days that I missed, basically, and then that information would go into the, let me just pull out the side, this one. We saw it in the 6 Hobonichi. I'll just pull it up in this Hobonichi instead, because I put those on the shelf. My desk is a mess right now, so this is a good example. So these, after I marked the days that I missed, I would actually go in here and I would mark those days that I missed, and I would go through all the daily pages, and I would also write down the wins and then update the wins in the column here. And so they sort of, these two, so like things would talk to each other in my system. And I really, really, really like that. And I'm going to go ahead and write down monthly reflection page in my planner, just so that I remember that. And this page is something that I definitely want to incorporate into my bullet journal when I start setting it up. Man, I really hope my audio is going to be okay. Like, I'm whispering through this mic. I really hope this mic is catching everything that I'm saying in this like weird low tone morning voice. Let's go ahead and go on to the next page. Now, these are some of my better pages. I was really started like cleaning up my style, I guess, like the way I was planning in my Hobonichi cousin, and it's really starting to show. Like, look, like it's so nice and neat, and I'm so excited for next year, because I'm just like, because what I do plan on doing for my bullet journal, it will have daily spreads as well. So, you know, I feel like daily spreads for me is just such a game changer. It's just really, really nice knowing exactly what I'm doing every single day, instead of having pockets of time where I just don't know what I'm doing. And as you can see, I still, like, there's some still days where I fell off, and I feel like this is the main here. I think what I started doing was I started writing out my schedule, and that really helped me feel like there's a lot of things that I want to do in the day, and I know that I can't get all of them in, but I know I have an idea, like, what my perfect day would be like. And of course, have I ever succeeded in having a perfect day? No, I didn't. No, I don't. Actually, 99.9% of the time, I don't have a perfect day. But sometimes there are days where I like slay. And I feel like this is this is kind of like my main layout right now. What I would do is I would have my schedule. It really has some dumb, stupid things in it. But for me, writing down these dumb, stupid things is extremely helpful. Like clean bed. You might be wondering, oh my God, you have to write down, you have to clean your bed. Yes, I'm one of those people. I get up in the morning, I leave my room immediately. In order for me to sort of get started in it, let's say, this is a really good idea. Or a really good explanation in my opinion. What I noticed about myself is that if I'm somebody who wakes up in the morning and, I use the bathroom and I go back to my room. If I go back to my room, I will get back into bed and I will sleep. If I do not want to get back into bed and sleep, then I must clean my bed. I have to clean my bed. I have to leave my room and I have to freshen up, which is the next thing on my list. After I freshen up, I will have to get a cup of water. And then once I do like a series of events, then I basically start like the engine to a productive day. What I noticed is that if I do certain things in the morning, those little wins, I guess you could say, in the morning builds into a productive day. So for me, like what I did today, in particular to like finish this video, is I woke up in the morning, I went to the bathroom, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I got my cup of coffee, and I sat down. And if I didn't do like sort of a succession of actions, then what happens is like I sort of go down into a slump and I would like go and I would sleep in, I'd wake up late, and then I would maybe I would grab a coffee and grab my phone, and I would basically start a series of events that led to less desirable results, if that makes sense. So having these little dumb things, you might call them dumb, but for me, they are a way for me to grab the little wins in the morning and the little wins throughout the day. And those little wins are the things that build my momentum throughout the day, if that makes sense. I hope I was clear. I'm not sure. So how would I organize my dailies? And this is like something that continued for the entirety of the 6 months. And I came up with this in July, thankfully. It was it stuck with me quite well. So what I have is I have a daily schedule. I have a work tasks, and then this is where my log came in. This is, I had some fine liners that I just really want to get rid of. I still have them. Actually, I'm looking at them on my desk and I'm I really want to finish them this year. So I should make some effort and go back and use these colors. But the reason why I switched from symbols to colors is because I want to finish those fine liners. But yeah, I have a schedule, I have work tasks, I have the actual log, and I have other tasks, I guess you could say, goals for the day. And then I had a key on the bottom that dictated certain tasks. And then I also have as many wins as possible is where I would put my wins for my, I guess you could say, my wins calendar. And this was the most successful layout for me, even though, I dropped off here and there. It is the layout that worked for me. So if I flip through these pages, you see that I just continuously go back to it. And it works wonderfully. It works wonderfully. And I'm definitely going to use this as a reference when I start my bullet journal. and it really works. And actually, where I got this idea from was actually I saw the days, the Jibun Techo days, and I loved that setup. So I started implementing it, and I really, really, really like it. Will I ever purchase a Jibun days? It's actually one of the wish list I have. Let me write that down actually. I want to try Jibun Techo. That is one of my wish list planners. And as you can see, I just continued that throughout the months. And what I did start doing, if you can see this little mini calendar on the bottom, let me try to zoom in a little bit, or just like bring it. You could see the little mini calendar on the bottom. I put an X for the days that I didn't do what I said I was going to do, and then a check for days that I did what I said I was going to do. And that's also like how I would go back and inform my wins calendar as well. And so, yeah, I just kept going with this. Of course, there's days that fell off because I'm a human being and, life gets in the way sometimes. But I really started refining this. And even though these pages aren't like super packed with beautiful charts and stuff like that, and it's definitely something that I want to do in the future. I really, really, really want to have like a pretty curated planner, but I feel like it's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute to get there. Right now, this is really working for me, and I really, really love it. And actually, like, that's actually where I'm at right now. As you can see, it's a lot more simpler than it was before. And that is because, this is November. So I have to do my update for November. And basically that's what I've been continuing with for the past 6 months. And I really, 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 really like how things are going right now. I think one of the things I definitely want to do next year is I do want to, put a little extra effort into my daily pages. So I'm going to get another sticky note again. And I definitely want to diagram my daily pages in my main planner. I definitely want to spend some time and effort doing that. I feel like it would be a really good idea to do so. And so I think it'd be a really good idea to spend a little time and effort diagramming some daily pages, maybe doing some mock-up. Oh, do you know what else I need? I need an insert just for prototype layouts. As you can see, I came up with a lot of different ideas in my dailies, in my weeklies, and my monthlies. And I think that even though I found things that worked for me, I found things that worked for me because I experimented. And I do want to continue experimentation. So let me do that. Continue experimentation next year. I do want to still continue experimenting with my daily pages, with my monthlies, with my, with my weeklies. And what's really lovely about having a bullet journal is because there are so many beautiful planners on the internet. There's so many beautiful planners that I want to purchase and I want for myself. And I can't have them all. And to be honest, as somebody who is, as you can see, I'm in the process of decluttering. As somebody who's moving towards a simpler life, I feel like life in more, I wouldn't call them developed countries, but I think that life in countries that have more technology, it's just really chaotic. Like, you have to keep track of credit cards and insurances and bills and taxes and this and that. And because life is so bombarded with noise now, having a planner, as you can see, I have no screens in front of me. I have no music. I have nothing. I have my desk and I'm in front of a window, and that window is looking at some trees. And I really just value ability to have this kind of space. It's so valuable for me. I swear to God, when I move to my new place, I'm getting rid of the TV. I'm not gonna have any TVs in my house. Every night, I'm gonna unplug all the computers, all the iPads, everything. Like, that's what I'm gonna do. So for me, I really do want to spend time in my notebooks next year. I want to spend time learning next year. I have so many ideas. It's a little bit of a rant, I apologize. But yeah, so I think that experimentation next year is still going to be extremely valuable. And it's one of the reasons why I really love a daily planner, because there's just so much room. There's so much room for breathing. And that is kind of like what I felt about like all the weekly planners that I have. I feel like there's 52 weeks in the year. And so that's only 52 times compared to the 365 days in the year of opportunities to plan and like experiment. It's a lot less, in my opinion. And I am so thankful that Hobonichi has this product. I'm so thankful that there's like daily planners. Oh my God. And, I'm very excited for next year in that regard. And so I think that's the end of my second half of my Hobonichi cousin. I do want to mention though, is January of 2026. I'm not going to lie to you. January of 2026 is a little bit of a mess for me. I have a lot of things in anticipation for the first month of the year, and that is because it's just happens this way. I'll go into more detail when the month of January comes around. But for me, in the month of January, I plan on making a lot of changes. So I didn't know if I would have time to start, planning a bullet journal. I think I definitely want to start planning, even if it's just like a couple of like maybe like 30 minutes a day or something like that I could spend on working on my bullet journal. What I did, if you haven't seen my Frankenstein video, it was very appropriate because I did it in October. But what I did was I just pulled out the daily pages that I didn't use and some weekly pages that I didn't use in my Hobonichis, and I just stapled them together, because if I don't get around to finishing the first few setups of my bullet journal, then I have something to fall back on. And the reason why I say this is actually I am not purchasing any stickers for my bullet journal. That is because, as I told you before, I am decluttering. And one of the things that I have that I completely despise is that I have a lot of paper. Like I have a lot of scrap paper, I have a lot of notebooks, I have a lot of sketchbooks. I'm slowly sifting through them. And all of the sketchbooks and all of the notebooks that I'm like reading through and that I'm either, copying those notes in my like commonplace, either I'm making them into digital notes, I'm taking pictures of them to archive, or I'm taking videos of them archive onto a flash drive, just because there's a lot of important information in these notebooks, in my opinion. I don't want to buy anything till after February, after I've thrown away a few things, after I've recycled, after I have gone ahead and decluttered a lot of the excess that I have. And then after I reorganize my space, then I'll go ahead and purchase stickers. But I still really want like some pre-printed stickers for my journal. And so what I did was I did find label paper on my stash. And I don't think I'm ever going to use this label paper, because when I bought it, it's actually like divided into 6 sections. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted. I wanted like full sheets. And guess what? I actually have a lot of full sheets, and they're very, very old. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a document that has like all of the dates that I need, all the pictures, all the stickers that I want, and I'm going to put them on the excess label paper that I have, and then use that to bullet journal. So I actually have to do that as well as come up with the layouts for my journal. So I have a lot to do, and that is why I really wanted just like a backup plan for January, because I don't think that December is enough for me to do it, especially with all the things that I want to get done before the year ends. And so that is basically where I'm at. Final thoughts. I absolutely love Hobonichi. That is definitely a final thought. I think it's probably one of the best designed planners that I've used in a while. And I think what's really lovely about the Hobonichi is because it gives you, it's kind of like the reason I feel comfortable with attempting bullet journaling is because of the Hobonichi. I feel like the layouts are simple enough to copy. I feel like there is enough space. The idea that the Hobonichi cousin what it does that I really, really enjoy, and I think the Hobonichi Weeks does this. I think a lot of the Hobonichi products do this, or almost all of them, that a lot of the times they put the structure around the page so that if you wanted to cover a few things up and just make the page the way you want. The Weeks does the same thing. It has like the dates on one side, but you know, the dates are like on the border, so literally you have just an entire page with a few lines. I feel like the Hobonichi products, what it does is they give you a little bit of structure and lots of free room, and that's what makes this product so successful. That literally, there's a lot of like other American, you know, creators who literally, it's like a Hobonichi copy with less color. If you know who I'm talking about, that's exactly how I think it is. And you know, these are really wonderful planners if you're somebody who wants to start planning in several different ways. The Hobonichi Cousin provides that. I love the Hobonichi Cousin, the Hobonichi Techo, and the A6 size. I love Traveler's Journal. And I'm so glad that there's a community on YouTube that is like this. I'm so glad that, you know, the fountain pen community exists online too. I'm glad that, like, I'm so happy, like, that all of these things connected to one another. And so, like, this leads to this. And, you know, I also want to contribute. I want to do more when it comes to this community. I want to provide ideas. I want to provide value. I'm so excited for the future. And, now, this is not a shameless plug to like, or this is not one of those videos where I'm like, go buy this product. I'm not sponsored or anything like this. I wish I was sponsored. But this is not a video in which you have to go and purchase these products to think that you're going to be successful in your planning. I feel like one of the biggest things that I learned with planning over the years is that a lot of experimentation is needed. You have to try a lot of things. You have to try a lot of different planners. You have to try a lot of different layouts. You still have to search for the best way to succeed with your various endeavors. For me, the Hobonichi Cousin helped me be more successful, hence why I like it. That is basically it, you know. And you know, hopefully what I plan on doing next year is that I plan on making my own inserts for my traveler journal. I plan on using a lot of the excess that I have. You know, I have no intention of buying any highlighters or any markers or anything like that until I use everything that I have. I plan on using all of my sticker sheets. I plan on really spending a lot of time and a lot of effort, really, even though like I feel like sometimes the planner community is all about consumerism. You know, I am going to do my best to not do that. And I have a lot of final thoughts, it seems. But I'm very excited that I was able to complete this video. I literally have been filming for like 2 days in multiple sessions. So let's move this here. Let me get rid of this. This here. For now, let me go ahead and put all of these sticky notes over here, and we need to organize this. I will. So this is actually the end of this video, and I have a feeling that this will probably be a 2-part video in which I review my 2025 stuff, just because I talked a lot and I did a lot of like note taking. The next part that I'm going to do, which is going to be an entirely separate video named something else, and I think that I will link it in the description below. I'll come back and I'll like update the description for this video. But the next video, or the next part to my planning management system, etc., is that I have to analyze my planning system. I've wanted to do this for a while, just because I really want clarity. As you can see, my 2025 lineup had, I think, if I consider the Avec one book, as it was like one book, because it is one book, but it's just divided in two. So I have a Hobonichi Cousin, I have a Hobonichi Techo and the A6, I have a Commonplace, I have a Brain Dump notebook, I have the Kokio Campus notebook, and then I also had, what else am I missing? Yeah, I think this year I had 5 notebooks that like I always touched on. And I'm not gonna lie to you, next year I have more notebooks that I want to touch on. For instance, let me go ahead and write this down as well. I'm just gonna do chicken strap. Like I'm just gonna like do a quick note and then just keep it in here. Maybe I should do a sticky note again. I'll think about it. Let me think. No, it's okay. I'll do this. So for 2025, I had a main planner. I had a commonplace. I had a brain dump. I had an experiment notebook. And I also had a daily journal. Those are the 5 notebooks that I had for 2025. In 2026, I want to make room for a health journal. I want to make room for a sketchbook. I want to make room for a design book. And next year, I also want to add in my 2026, wish list is a personal curriculum. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, these notebooks and a few more, it's a lot of notebooks for next year. And, you know, oh wait, I also had an expense. Wait a minute. This isn't an actor. I also had an expense notebook and I also had a content notebook. As you can see, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so I feel like I need to figure out how to organize all of this stuff. And I also need to get rid of things that I feel like don't serve me. And so, like, to be honest, it's too much to do in one video. Hence why I'm doing my 2025 review as a separate sort of section. I'm going to do a planner analysis in a separate video and then jump into my 2026 setup. Nonetheless, I had a lot of fun doing this analysis. I feel like I have to do this analysis every single year. Just because it's a really good refresher. Like I spent, it only took me an hour and a half to do this, and doing that once a year I think is a really good investment of time. Nonetheless, I'm super excited. I have a lot to do. My space is a mess, but it's okay. This is just this is just the storm, and then eventually the storm will blow over. But I'm super excited. I am so happy I did this video, and I will see you in the next one. Yeah, bye.